It can be a difficult thing to remain charitable to other people when we feel they are wrong about something that affects us personally or that has undesirable consequences. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is often invoked in popular discourse to explain the high opinion with which other people regard themselves, but we have to remember that it applies to us as well. While there are those that are generally dismissive and generally hostile to outside viewpoints, these are not required attitudes for giving an uncharitable interpretation of someone else's thought. One of the things you learn in an introductory philosophy course is to attribute the best form of an argument to your opponent. This approach has been called the principle of charity. Adhering to this principle reminds us to avoid straw-manning another person's argument, but it does more than this too. When we look first to understanding something instead of criticizing it, we adopt a sympathetic view that can give us a clearer vision of the ideas under discussion. Rather than coming to an idea defensively, we step back, momentarily suspend our own beliefs, and become receptive to it. In this open state of mind, we might even find that we hit on some things the other person hasn't thought of. Now, why would you want to strengthen another person's argument if you disagree with them? For one thing, it looks better and puts you on a better footing to critique the strongest argument for a position than it does to take aim at a lesser version. But a second reason here is that a charitable approach appreciates the difference between ideas and the manner in which they're articulated. All of us make mistakes in how we express ourselves, and yet our minds deal in concepts, experiences, and associations that bespeak a logic, consistency, and coherence. Willard Van Orman Quine noted that assertions startlingly false on the face of them are likely to turn on hidden differences of language. Understanding and critiquing ideas in their most persuasive form seems a much more worthwhile endeavor than attacking the mistakes that people make in struggling to express those ideas. Donald Davidson has referred to this also as the principle of rational accommodation, which has the specific intent to maximize truth, whereas Daniel Dennett has referred to the principle of humanity, whereby we attribute to others the attitudes we suppose we would have in their circumstances. It takes effort to be charitable, and it isn't usually as entertaining as it is to go on the offensive. Particularly when it comes to the big debate over religion and the existence of God, it can be all too tempting to dispense with the principle of charity. Lots of folks, atheists included, seem to reach a certain point where they feel they've been charitable enough to the other side, and they henceforth abandon all pretense to fairness. But one of the thornier problems with the principle of charity is determining when enough is enough. Were we as open and receptive as we could have been? Did we give a fair hearing? Or did we perhaps cut things a little short before we launched into our critique? I will be the first to admit that I still struggle with these issues, but that's a large part of why I think the principle of charity is important. Of course, no one is expected to be so thorough or generous in trying to understand an argument to the extent that it becomes unreasonable. However, the far more common thing we see is people being grossly uncharitable to each other, not overly charitable, and this principle can help remind us to keep our head and to be as fair to others as we would like them to be with us. You may not like religion, you may think it's nonsense and possibly even evil. Conversely, you may not like atheism, and you may think it's nonsense and possibly evil. But being aware that this is the direction you lean in, it should be recognizable what value the principle of charity has. Because the reality is that we all have some beliefs that other people don't get, don't respect, and maybe just despise. And these beliefs are definitely not limited to subjects like God and religion. When we feel ourselves pulled strongly to one side, we should remember how this can color our interactions with the other side. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing, as well as perhaps sharing it with others. This channel is the official channel of godlesshaven.com, where you can find more content like this in articles, reviews, podcast episodes, and more, and where you can also find how to support us. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/godlesshaven.